going to be talking about growing through life, and it's one of my signature topics that I love to talk about whenever I have the opportunity. And every time I go into this conversation about growing through life, the conversation actually happens a little bit differently every time, right? So obviously, with everything that's happening in the world today, there's a whole lot of uncertainty, right? And there's a lot of change that we want to see. So before I get started, I see that I have some new faces joining me for the first time. I want to make sure that I go ahead and introduce myself. My name is Desiree Clay. I am the Des of Des 360, and I am a master certified coach as well as a speaker, an author, and a coach. Did I say coach? Yeah, I did say coach, right? And I'm just excited about being here with you all. I'm here every week on Tuesdays. The time varies. I'm trying to get my life together, but I'm a realist, and so I have small babies, for those of you who don't know my story. And so sometimes they don't want to go to bed, right? How many of you are moms or parents, so you can attest to that, right? But I definitely go live every Tuesday. The time is always uncertain, but it's guaranteed you will see me here with some transformation tips that are practical, that you can actually start implementing in your life on Tuesday, right? Because it happens on Tuesday. So you can immediately start implementing these things. If you don't follow me right now on all my pages at Des360, that's DEZTHREESIXTY, Des360. I'm also on YouTube. You can find me at Des360 on YouTube as well. So here we go, growing through life, right? So I just watched the funeral today of George Floyd, and it was absolutely overwhelming. It was a really nice tribute and homegoing ceremony, but it was a bit overwhelming for me because, again, I have sons and I have a husband and I have brothers and I have uncles and I have family members, right? I have friends that are police officers, and so just every time, for me, it was kind of like reliving the video. And so the news reporters talked a whole lot about the changes that a lot of the speakers mentioned, and the family has been mentioning that everybody wants to see change happening. We want to see change happening. And I agree, there needs to definitely be a whole lot of changes, right? But what I realize is that these changes definitely won't happen overnight, especially these systemic things that have been in place since the beginning of time, right? So, I mean, if you talk about slavery over 400 years ago, these are things that we have to undo, things that we have to pull up at the root. And so I know that it's not going to happen overnight. But one of the things that I realized is that while we have been fighting, and I'm not saying stop fighting, everybody keep fighting, keep pushing, and doing your part and making an impact with the changes that we definitely need to see. I don't want you to forget about yourself. So what are you doing to continue to grow through life? We know that we want change, but at the root of change, at the basis of change is growth, right? And so we want our politicians to change at the state level and at the local levels, right? And we want even our president to change. We want a lot of changes, but I don't want you in the process of fighting for change for the bigger world, you to forget about yourself, right? So as you grow through life and you are trying to achieve things, I thought about, how can I position this today? Because last week I talked about coping. And so I understand that my position as a coach and as a Christian, right, is to bring hope. I'm a hope dealer. So regardless of what's going on, I'm going to try to find the silver lining in the situation. And that's just who I am, right? And so when I started thinking about it, I was like, you know what, we have to keep growing. And the only way that this world is going to change, the only way that this nation is going to change is that if we start changing ourselves, right? Every change starts with an individual, right? So Michael Jackson wrote a whole song about it. He said, look at the man in the mirror, right? So I'm saying to you, to look at the person in the mirror. So in terms of growth, I want you to know that when you want to be successful at something, you have to start with those internal things. So the secret of success is that you choose to grow daily. So growth is a process. So I'm going to give you 3 overhead arching themes for today's talk, right, about growth. And then I'll tell you the benefits of growth in case you may have forgotten them in your fight to seek change in the world, right? So growth is a choice. Every day you have to wake up and decide that you want to grow. Right? You need to get as specific as possible, because what things in what area do you want to see growth in? You have to decide every day, I'm going to grow in some area. So for me, I can remember the moment that I have a whole lot of growth moments, but one in particular was when I was a teacher. I taught for almost 10 years. I taught in Chicago Public Schools, in my elementary school, actually. I was able to do my internship in my high school, Dunbar High School. So it was Henderson Elementary and Dunbar High School in Chicago. And then I also taught at Houston ISD. I taught at 2 different schools here in Houston. And I've, been in the preschool room. I've taught in, Grambling, Louisiana at Grambling State University. So I've had like 10 years teaching experience. I've taught everything from pre-K to high school, home economics. I know, right? Who would have thought I would teach home economics? But I did, and I enjoyed it, right? So, but it was a pivotal moment about 4 or 5 years ago that I knew I was outgrowing the space that I was in. I was no longer making the impact that I knew that God was telling me to make in that space anymore. My time was up and I didn't know how to get out. And so he kind of forced my hand. The short version of this story is I ended up quitting teaching. I literally quit. I resigned from my position in December. So I finished out that first semester of the school year. And then I did not return. I did everything the proper way. You know, I turned in my letter and all that stuff and did everything I was supposed to do with the Board of Education. I didn't leave a stain. However, I knew that it was time for me to grow because I felt stuck. I felt like I was constantly hitting a brick wall and I was hitting the ceiling. Every day was becoming like this monotonous stuff. It was just the minutia every day. And the population I was serving, I wasn't able to serve them in the same way, right? So I knew that I had to make a choice. And that choice was to leave that situation so that I can continue to grow and make an impact in the way that I'm supposed to make an impact. So what area is it that you want to grow in? Growth is a choice. You have to make a decision to grow every day, right? So the second thing is you want to make sure that you are intentional. So it's one thing to say that you need to grow in an area or that you want to grow in an area, but are you being intentional about it? In what areas do you desire to grow, right? Values and strengths are great areas to begin with, right, for your personal growth. So if you think about your life as a garden, right, my book is entitled Beautiful Like a Flower. And so I talk a lot about seeds and growing and things like that, even though I absolutely don't like science. I don't know. But anyway, okay, so when you talk about personal growth, I want you to think about your personal growth as a garden. So your values and strengths are great areas to begin with in your personal growth garden. But values give you the growth that you need on the inside. But before you can get great externally, so before you can see the flower blossoming and blooming and the beautifulness, there are some things you have to do internally. So when you plant a seed, you don't see the manifestation or the product of that seed right away. There is a process that happens underneath. So I want you to think about your own life in that same way. You are a seed. And yes, we've been through so many things as African American people, as a culture, that they thought that they were going to bury us and that we wouldn't rise up. But here we are flourishing yet again, right? And so I want you to think about your own personal story, your own personal journey. In what ways do you know you need to be intentional? Intentionality has the idea of, you're thinking about seeds. Okay, if I want an apple tree, then that means you need to plant a what? Apple seed, right? That's the only way you're going to get an apple tree. So you have to be intentional about what it is that you want to grow. What in your life do you want to grow? Do you want to grow spiritually? What does that look like for you, right? Do you want to grow financially? Do you want to grow just personally, right? Your personality. Maybe you need to shift some things. Maybe you need to do mental check. What area do you want to grow? You have to be intentional about those things, okay? So then the other thing is that growth thrives in the right environment. And this is the part that most people always forget. So I mentioned to you that I'm a former educator. And so there's a term that in the educational realm that's called a print-rich environment. And what that simply means is that when you're trying to teach early reading skills, it's best that you have the child in a print-rich environment. And of course, my Auntie Deborah's on here. She knows about a print-rich environment. She's taught for years. Auntie Deborah, how long have you taught? For forever. Okay. But in a print-rich environment, that simply means that when your child looks around, they should see words and letters and anything that's related to reading all over the place. So that's what I've created in our home. And my husband's here. He can attest to that. My sister is also on the line. I created actually a little mini classroom downstairs. We took out our dining room area, table and all that stuff, and that's now like a learning center for our sons. And everything in our house is labeled, well, aside from the things that Chase have not torn off yet because he knows the words and he knows what everything is. But my reason for doing that is because I'm being intentional about his environment. I want to make sure that he is actually exposed to words that he can't even read yet. Because what happens is I start to build his schema, if you will, his background knowledge with these words. So then when he sees them again, everything makes sense to him, right? So if you want a healthy reader, you have to create a print-rich environment. You have to label things. You have to expose them to different types of text and different types of stories and different genres and things like that. My husband says my house is a school. So if you're talking about growing, then what does a growth environment look like, right? So growth thrives in the right environment, right? It flourishes in the right environment. So what does that look like? There are 5 essential factors for growth environment that I want you to consider. So a growth environment is a place where others are ahead of you. So what does that mean? You have people that have gone before you that can be an example. So, you know, when I listen to Eric Thomas or Les Brown, those are speakers that have gone obviously before me and that I study, right? Brene Brown, she's amazing. Right? So other speakers, who have I seen coach, right? So you have to put people that are before you, right? That, yes, Paris, you need to get the label in your whole house, girl. You need to FaceTime me and I can show you what I've done. So people that are ahead of you, what examples are you following? Because anybody, watch this, success leaves footprints, okay? Period. So if you want to be successful, see what the people before you who are successful has done. So that's the first thing. That's the first consideration. The second factor or consideration is Others, you need to make sure that others are encouraging you, right? So this allows you to see what you can become when you are following somebody. But then the other part of that is when others are encouraging you, you need to make sure that you have a circle of friends, family members, perhaps business partners that are going to keep you in alignment with your goals and your vision, right? So not the people that are secret haters. I'm not talking about the secret haters. You can keep them close because God says that He'll prepare a table before your enemy. So keep them close so they can watch your victory dance, right? But I'm simply saying those people that are going to encourage you because things are going to get challenging. It's going to get hard. When you are trying to grow, I am a personal growth junkie. And my husband will tell you everything I listen to, everything I read is all about personal growth because I have been on this journey of personal growth for quite some time now. Since I can remember, I really started taking it serious when I started my educational process at Grambling State University when I was getting my bachelor's in education. All of the reflecting activities and things like that I had to do in order to be the best teacher I could be made me actually become the best person I could be, right? So who is encouraging you? Do a friend check, okay? Because some people are in your circle. They should be in your crowd or your community. That's a whole nother lie. Maybe I'll talk about that later. Okay, so then the third thing is you are out of your comfort zone. If you are comfortable, let me tell you, you are not growing. Let me tell you, I'm so uncomfortable every freaking day. I kid you not. It's something I'm like, I am just so uncomfortable about my entire space. Like, I'm just uncomfortable right now. And that's a good thing because that means that I'm growing, right? I'm stretching. There's a law of the rubber band that my mentor, John Maxwell, talks about, his 15 invaluable laws of growth. And this is one of my favorite books of his. And the law of the rubber band is one of my favorites because if you're stretching, you got to stretch. You got to, in order to feel your purpose and to be all that you're called to be, you got to stretch and become uncomfortable. So if you're comfortable, you aren't growing. I'm sorry to be able to bear bad news on today, but you're not growing. So make sure that you are out of your comfort zone. And I'm going to ask you this. When is the last time you did something for the first time? I'm waiting. Yeah. So when is the last time that if you've done something for the first time recently, I want you to go ahead and drop a heart, a purple heart. I love purple hearts. A purple heart in the comment section. If there's something that you have tried for the first time here recently, go ahead and drop a purple heart, whether you're on Instagram or Facebook, okay? Yes, I have my church look up 5 words a week to expand their vocabulary. I also require sentences and definitions. Yes, Toya, that is amazing because, Michelle used to make me read from the dictionary, and then I couldn't stand her for it. I was like, you are a mean and evil big sister. But now, I can appreciate it so much because I actually love words. I'm going to consider myself a wordsmith. I love words. Okay, so the fourth thing is failure is not your enemy. We are so afraid of failing that we won't even give ourselves an opportunity to succeed. I'll say that again. We're so afraid of failing that we won't even give ourselves an opportunity to succeed. And what that simply means is that growth allows you to fall or fail forward, right? So if you're trying something for the first time, good, Paris, and I see someone on my Instagram, Books by Kitty, yes. Okay, so watch this. You're trying something for the first time, you're going to fail because it's your first time doing it. You've never done this before. You've never accomplished this before, right? You're out to set, you have your mind on higher heights and greater feats. And let me tell you something. Failure is not your enemy. It's not your enemy. Failure is your friend. It lets you know that, you know what? I tried it this way. That doesn't work. Let me try another way. You know what? Man, these last 2 times, okay, now I have it. This might work this way. So growth allows you to fail forward, not fail, but fail forward. So if you're failing forward, that means what? You're still making what? Progress. You're still moving forward, even if you're failing forward. You'll get there. You'll get there by and by, right? And so the fifth consideration for the right environment, we're talking about growth thrives in the right environment. If you are just joining me, this is Transformation Tip Tuesday. I'm Desiree Clay. I'm the Des of Des 360. You can follow me on all social media, Des 360. I'm here every Tuesday. Go ahead and hit the share button because these are tips that everybody needs. We need to make sure that we are all still growing in the process of changing and growing the world, that you're still working on yourself and putting in the work. Okay, and so the fifth thing is others are growing. You want to make sure that in your environment, other people are growing. The growth journey together is so rewarding. My husband and I, we're doing so many different things together right now. We're kind of dabbling in a whole bunch of different things, and we're constantly bouncing ideas off each other. And though I don't fully understand what he's doing sometimes, and he may not fully understand what I'm doing, it's still great to know that we're both in a growing environment. And sometimes it's very frustrating in our house because we're both being stretched and we're both exhausted from just growing and pushing ourselves and, come on, you got to work out. And I'm like, I got to work out. I'm like, listen, God, I don't have time to work out. I'm trying to write this script out. I'm trying to, set up my next coaching session, but it's a necessary evil, right? So Others are growing with you. I always say, you'll see some of my hashtags. Hashtag bring a friend. You don't want to be on this journey by yourself. Who wants to go to the top by themselves? Being at the top by yourself is super lonely. As a matter of fact, it shows poor leadership. Like, no one wants to be alone at the top and, at the peak of a mountain and you're by yourself. What joy is that? It's not any joy in that, right? So just to recap. So remember that the secret of your success is that you choose to grow daily. Think about growth as a gift that you've been given from God. You have an opportunity to grow every day. Just make the decision. You want to make sure that you understand that growth is a choice, that growth must be intentional. Be specific about the area that you're growing in, whatever that is. So for me, it's using this social media. I'm going back and forth. My friend texts me like, listen, girl, you can use this app. I'm like, I don't know how to do that, girl. I'm going to just do this right now until I can figure that out, right? But I am working at it. So I'm live on Instagram right now. Hey, Instagram followers. And I'm also live on Facebook. So I'm trying. I'm working. I'm uncomfortable, but it's working. I'm going back and forth. And I see other people's lives with them like, theirs looks so polished and uniform. But that's okay. Because even if I mess up, I am failing forward. Okay? So growth also thrives in the right environment. What type of environment have you created for yourself? Are you doing a lot of critical, negative self-talk? That's not a good, healthy environment to grow. You can't be overly critical of yourself. You have to do some of those mental checks. All of the, negative self-talk, the unproductive cycles that we're in. All of those things, they have to change in order for you to thrive in your growth environment. And so we talked about the 5 essential factors for a growth environment. And the first thing is, others are ahead of you, so make sure you have an example. Find an example. There's an example out there. You're not the first. Trust me, there is nothing new under the sun, okay? And then others are encouraging you, and then that you are out of your comfort zone, and then that you understand that failure is not your enemy. And then the 5th thing is that others are growing with you and around you as well, right? So not that others are ahead of you and that they're encouraging you, but that they are also growing. So now you have a built-in accountability system, which you'll need, because let me tell you, one day you're going to want to quit, and you're going to have to, as my husband just said, PPYQ. You're going to have to push past your quit. I'm just going to tell you, it's going to be a struggle. You're going to want to quit, but you can't, because your life and the people that are connected to you, their lives are dependent upon your progress and your ability to become what you're called to be. So you can't quit. It's too much pressure. You can't quit. So here's some benefits, and then I'll let you go. So some benefits of growth. You will unlock and achieve your potential, right? So do you understand that you have not even reached the highest peak, or, you've not even reached the greatest potential that you have inside of you? Like, we probably not even using 50% of our potential. So you will unlock and achieve your potential. You will feel good about yourself. So it feels good to make progress, right? Even if things aren't perfect, it's about progress. We're chasing progress, not perfection. So for all of you people who self-sabotage, waiting for perfection, it's not going to happen. Nothing in life is perfect. So just go for it. Okay? And then your values and strength will become stronger. So you start to reanalyze. You start to break down those cognitive distortions, things that you thought that were real and true to you. They were truth at one point in your life, but today those things are not true anymore. Those decisions that you made are not even valid anymore. Those ideals that you had, hey, it doesn't work anymore. So you grow, and then so your values and your strengths will become stronger, right? And then also, let me just, I'm a Christian. For those of you who are joining for the first time, I love to talk about Jesus. So let me just say, where you're weak, God's strength is made perfect. That's just a word. So even though your values and your strength will become stronger, even in the areas where you're weak, God can help you out with that too. So you're winning. Let me tell you, you're getting stronger, and then God steps in to take up the slack. You're winning. Let me tell you, you're winning. Okay? And then you will grow in humility and self-awareness. My husband will tell you, I'm watching you grow up before my eyes. Oh, thanks, babe. Let me tell you. My husband will tell you, I am so self-aware. I'll tell you about me before anybody can tell you about me. And I think I'm just so transparent. I think it scares some people, and I try to keep my story. I don't like to bring everybody else in my story unless I have to, because you're part of my story and then I have to tell that part. But really, I'm just so self-aware. There's not too much, that I can't handle and see about myself. Even when I can't help myself and I have to go to my therapist, like, hey, look, I need some help with this because this ain't right. I'm just being real here. Black girls love therapy. I do. So let's just be true, right? And honest with ourselves. So you become self-aware and you become more humble. I just try to do what God has called me to do. Period. That's all I'm trying to do. That's what I'm doing here today. I'm just trying to do what God has called me to do. And that's it. You will become more, so you can do more. So the more you become aware, the more you grow, your capacity increases. That means you can handle more, you can do more, right? So some of us, Paris said you've been that way since we met. Paris, I can just only be me. I'm gonna just tell you, thank you for saying that because I want people to know that I can just only be me. That's it. That's the best person I can be. And who that is, every day changes because I'm growing. I'm growing. At the core of who I am the same. But in terms of improvement, it's like that show Home Improvement. Am I telling my age? I think I am. Anyway, right? So you will become more. So as you become more, your capacity expands. You're able to do more. And guess what? That means you're able to give more. That's what this is all about. Servitude. Like, what are you trying to collect jewels and stones for if you're not trying to pass some out? That's another live. I'm not going to go there. And then you will be an example for others to follow. So just like we talked about those essential factors for growth, we talked about others being ahead of you. Guess what? You will become that somebody. Now you are ahead of somebody and somebody is watching you. You're the example. And believe it or not, someone is always watching you anyway. So you might as well be a great example. You might as well be a great front man, a great lead man, right? And so that's what this is all about. Yes, Books by Kitty. Talk about him. I am, honey. I love the Lord. Love me some Jesus. Okay? So just to recap, growth is a choice. Growth must be intentional. And growth thrives in the right environment. Today, while you are pushing for change in the nation, in the world, in our country, in your state, at your local government levels, and in your community, and at your school, and at your job, don't forget about growing yourself. That part is probably the most important part. All right, guys. So again, I'm Des of Des 360. Don't forget, my new course is live, and I am enjoying the feedback that I'm getting from it. It's amazing. You can check it out on my website, Des360.com or DesireeClay.com, DISEREE, 1 I, 3 E's. I know, let's not talk about the spelling, but that's what it is, DesireeClay.com. And if you're just ready to transform your life, just go to I'mReadyToTransform.com. Get you signed up and get started right away. It's an on-demand course, and it's just for people who are sick and tired of being sick and tired. Can you repeat the growth? Yes, I can repeat all three of the growth. So here's the growth. Growth is a choice. Growth must be intentional. And growth thrives in the right environment. Okay? So I hope you got those. Let me know if you got it, Books by Kitty. All right? So make sure you join the course, guys. It's at a super, super, super low rate. Okay? A super low investment. So I'm sure you can afford it because, the world is open up. And I know you've been shopping at Amazon and all that stuff. So why not invest in your personal growth? It's 5 modules. It's on demand. And if you join my Facebook group, my private Facebook group, then you have access to me as you work through the modules. Okay. So it's not like a live coaching component right now because it's too inexpensive. I can't give you guys that kind of time, right? But if you join my private Facebook group, then you have access to me to help you work through the modules as well. So again, guys, I'm readytotransform.com, DesireeClay.com. I'm at Des360 everywhere, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and I just actually started my Snapchat page again. I hadn't been on there so long. I forgot how to use it, so I got to go and teach myself that again because I hear it's popping over there. But anyway, guys, it's been great. I pray that you are well. It's good to connect with you guys here on tonight because I was feeling kind of heavy after all of the George Floyd, and then the burial was not too far from where we live and things like that. So it was really heavy around here. So I'm glad that I was able to connect with you guys. Make sure you share this live. Make sure you're following me and make sure you sign up for all the notifications for my live videos. I'm here every Tuesday and also these will be uploaded to YouTube. So if you need to go back and listen to them. And if you have any questions, comments, concerns, feel free to inbox me, shoot me a DM. I am the responsive type. I will answer you. I hope you guys have a blessed rest of your week. Talk soon. Bye.